If there's one actor who represents Americana, it's Clint Eastwood. He's an icon of masculinity, toughness, and heroism, but those qualities go beyond his on-screen persona. He's the real deal. Let's learn about the incredible life and career of Clint Eastwood and why he's the toughest man in Hollywood. Life before Hollywood. Clint Eastwood's toughness developed way before he played macho characters in his films. He didn't come from a showbiz family and had to struggle to find a career in the industry. He wasn't a particularly good student and went on to work a variety of odd jobs. These included working as a grocery store clerk, a paper carrier, and a golf caddy. But he also had quite a few odd jobs that required both mental and physical toughness. These jobs included being a lifeguard, a forest firefighter, a lumberjack, steelworker, and a bouncer at a military officers' club. Quite an impressive resume even before becoming a film star. He worked at the Seattle steel mill before moving on to working as a logger. The pay was great for a single man, and he enjoyed the work, especially being outdoors among Oregon's incredible nature. But he knew logging wasn't his destiny. He eventually had to move on. In fact, one day a large bundle of logs came down from the crane and were suspended above Clint's head. He ran as fast as he could before the legs fell firmly to the ground. As a bouncer at a military officers' club, he recalled having to keep some of his fellow officers in check. He had to throw out a few of them and has stated his height was to his advantage. One wonders if Clint knew at the time that his tough persona would help him play similar characters in film and TV. Before we tell you more about Clint Eastwood's life and career and why he's the toughest man in Hollywood, be sure to give this video a like and subscribe to Facts First for more. Clint's heroism. Clint Eastwood's heroism is reflected in his movies and his real life. One of the bravest moments in his life occurred in his early 20s. Clint had been drafted into the U.S. Army during the Korean War. One of the perks he recalls was that he could get free military flights across the country. In 1951, he traveled from Seattle to Monterey on a Douglas AD bomber as the sole passenger. However, the radios stopped working and the oxygen supply began to dwindle. The fuel eventually exhausted and the plane flew into the ocean. Luckily, Clint, the pilot, and the crew all survived and managed to swim to the shore. Clint later learned that the ocean was full of white sharks and he could have easily become their prey. This rather frightening incident, however, didn't seem to traumatize Clint. He continued to display such bravery throughout his life and even while working on his films. One of Clint's best performances in the 1970s was in the film The Eiger Sanction. This film required his character to assassinate a Russian killer who is part of a mountain climbing team. In the film, his character, Dr. Jonathan Hemlock, performs many stunts, including one where he had to dangle over an abyss and eventually fall. Clint performed all but one of the stunts in the film. He often felt stressed about the stunts and had to undergo rigorous training. Nevertheless, he never gave up or asked his stunt double to fill in no matter how frightening some of the stunts were. One of the most famous characters Clint is known for is Harry Callahan, which he played in the 5 Dirty Harry films. In a couple of these, he also performed his own stunts. In Dirty Harry, Clint himself jumped off a bridge on top of a moving bus. In Magnum Force, he rode on top of the hood of a moving car. In the film The Gauntlet, there's a famous scene where Clint rides a motorcycle while chasing a helicopter. He actually rode the motorcycle for the scene. Clint's philosophy was that he shouldn't cheat the audience by having a stunt double perform his stunts. While there were occasions when his stunt double, usually Buddy Van Horn, filled in, Clint was adamant he should perform his stunts as often as possible. A man of many talents. A man of high value is one who has many talents. Clint Eastwood is truly a Renaissance man. At the height of his stardom, he decided he should try his hand at directing, which he continues to pursue, with 2021's Cry Macho being his latest directorial venture. Clint had the confidence that he could direct films as well as star in them. He didn't have a particularly good experience on the film Paint Your Wagon that was directed by Lee Marvin. He realized that this experience taught him what not to do when making a film. He was confident that, in the future, he'd do a great job as a filmmaker. His directorial debut was the thriller Play Misty for Me, released in 1971. He also released the suicide jumper sequence in Dirty Harry, which was also released that year. Some of his most popular directorial efforts include Bird, The Rookie, Unforgiven, Space Cowboys, J. Edgar, American Sniper, and The Mule. As a director, Clint has a reputation of insisting on full creative control. He often ignores suggestions from the studio and makes the films as he pleases. Many of the films he's directed have become huge hits, so it's safe to say he knows what he's doing. Apart from acting and directing, he's also worked as a musician and singer. He composed the score for many of his films, including Paint Your Wagon. He recorded an album for the TV show Rawhide, where he got his start. He also performed the song Barroom Buddies, along with country legend Merle Haggard. The song eventually became a #1 hit on the Hot Country Singles Chart. But Clint's talents don't end in show business. He's also showed incredible leadership in real life. He served as the mayor of the town of Carmel by the Sea in 1986. Part of the reason for serving as mayor was so that he could modernize the otherwise old-fashioned and sleepy town. He helped increase tourism to the town, increase the book collection in the town's library, created more stairways for beach access, and built more public toilets. He served 1 term before deciding to go back to entertainment. Clint doesn't hold back. What truly makes a man tough? One of the things is that he doesn't hold back and speaks his mind, even if it's unpopular. His rebellious nature in real life and his work is proof that Clint Eastwood is the toughest man in Hollywood. Look back at a film like Dirty Harry, and you'll not only admire his performance, but how he wasn't afraid to play a character with unfashionable political views, particularly among Hollywood's elite. Look at his performance as Walt Kowalski in Gran Torino, and you'll be amazed to see a character unafraid of being politically incorrect and putting others in their place. Clint hasn't been afraid to speak his mind. During the presidential election of 2012, he mocked President Obama by debating an empty chair, a now famous scene. But he's upset people on both sides of the political spectrum. He's shown sympathy for liberal causes, such as same-sex marriage, and conservative causes like limited government and gun rights. Clint was once asked how he stayed so young even as he aged. He simply stated, "Because I never let the old man in." Those are the words of the toughest man in Hollywood. Now it's time to hear from you. Do you think there's a contemporary actor that'll make the impact that Clint had throughout his career? Let us know in the comment section below. And before you go, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to Facts Verse if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content.